All right, welcome back to another episode of Waking the People. I'm your host, Sir Chad Everett Broshears, and I am with my co-host, Joshua McClendon. Joshua, fire it up, baby.
How's it going, everybody? Great to be back again. Got a great show coming your way. Going to talk some current events, maybe some foreign matters that concern with our country and our government and kind of where we're at and how that impacts the world. So a lot of good information. Going to be some laughs. Sure, there's going to be some animation. So excited to see how it turns out. Ready to get started.
Yeah, I'm certain I'm going to smack my microphone today just because I get so fired up and animated and I talk with my hands. I'm mostly Irish, but you wouldn't think it. All right. Also, I want to bring up a wonderful and awesome announcement. Actually, Joshua is going to be the first time he hears this too. We did pick up a sponsorship, and that sponsorship is Moron and Moron for the Sheeple. So
Okay.
I'm kidding, by the way. We haven't picked up sponsorship just yet, but we are looking forward to the first patriotic company that wants to step forward and get behind us. So, all right, let me rephrase that one. Okay.
My pillow action.
Yeah, yeah. I'm be okay. I would be all right with some My Pillow action.
He's a big supporter of the Republican Party. He's pretty much now one of the bigger donators, I guess you could say, to the Republican Party. We lost a couple. If just a little side tangent, don't shop at Walmart anymore. Like Walmart, don't go. They completely cut all funding to every Republican, either party, person. They completely cut it all back. So I'm not shopping at Walmart anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And it's going to take something to start shifting away and buying more in a patriotic way. And some of our reasons why it's going to be that is because I myself have it's almost like a nervous tick now. When I find something I like, go to Amazon, look for it online. Right. And and not realizing that's actually one of the issues that we're coming across. Is that the movement of the future to shop? Yeah, it probably is going to end up being the big move for the future for shopping. But there's also where that money's going. Jeff Bezos is, all that I understand with him, he's an American businessman, but he was actually the wealthiest man on the planet, but he just got outdone by Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Go Elon.
It was like 180 or 190 billion to his like 120 billion.
Yeah. Elon it was fantastic to see what he's done. So everybody's like, Jeff Bezos is going to be the first trillionaire. No, I think it's going to be Elon Musk if he keeps up to what he's doing. But what I really like about Elon is that he actually is more of a thinker. He's more level-headed, and he's not as driven by some sort of political ideology as much as he just wants to innovate and create the future. And I can argue and say the same thing about Bezos, which, Bezos he's definitely left. He's far left. No, he's out there, man. He's if you guys don't know, he also owns the Washington Post, which he does have in their agreement with his employees there. They're not allowed to write anything negative about Amazon, which is a nice little, it's a nice little way of controlling the world's view of your company. They are not allowed to write anything negative. They can write good things about them. They can't write anything negative. So, all right. So
I feel like Amazon and Tesla are different in a way because Amazon really has like this monopolistic type kind of attitude that's going on right now. I mean, they own Whole Foods. They tried to buy that. What was that freaking? AMC theaters. They tried to buy. They're like buying up everything, and it's like, that's kind of what leads us back to this problem with big tech they're having, because a lot of the servers that websites or apps like Parler, they were all using AWS. So once they said, hey, you're not going to use our servers anymore, they could pretty much cut off whatever social media platform, whatever media platform they choose at a moment's notice. They can just cut it loose. Whereas Tesla, he's not really interested in controlling free speech or controlling big tech. He's more so, like you said, innovating. I mean, the dude has 3 companies. How crazy is that? Didn't they just dock like a spacecraft to the space station? I mean, a private enterprise company is almost outperforming NASA at the moment. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic overall. It's just by privatizing some of these things, like what we did or like having SpaceX come into play. Like, they innovated so fast. There's a rocket that'll return to Earth that will set itself down exactly where it launched from without falling to Earth. None of that. Talking about like the potential for reuse or how many uses they can get out of that rocket. in order to get the shuttles up, right? I think it's amazing what this man has been able to do. But anyway, I'm not a fanboy of Elon Musk, right? I'm not really a fanboy of anybody, but I absolutely do appreciate the work that he's done and how he's actually changed the face of America. Now, Joshua, we're going to have to jump on a Facebook Live here in just a minute, but I do want to see about touching on something, and then we'll jump over to that, which is you were going to talk a little bit about, if you want to preface a little bit what we're going to get into after Facebook Live, as far as the impeachment movement, and then we'll from there we'll jump on and we'll get active on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, we're just going to cover some impeachment info, kind of, what it means, what Trump has to lose in a sense, what he has to gain, if there is anything to gain. So just more information, kind of our thoughts, our opinions on the impeachment process for the second time, which I'll cover that. That's just ridiculous that we have to do it twice. But yeah, so some good information's there. Looks like we lost Chad a little bit. His microphone's gone, but just good information. Probably cover some foreign affairs or issues that are going on that we impact. A lot of people don't really understand how much the U.S. actually impacts not only the world economy but just the world in general. I see a lot of conservatives that sometimes they're a little upset with foreign aid that sends U.S. dollars across the pond, so to speak, which I get. I understand that, especially pivotal times right now with the pandemic. We got needs in the United States that we need to fill first. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. So we'll talk a little bit about what that actually means, where that money goes. Sometimes it's good places, sometimes it's bad places, but nonetheless, it kind of is a necessary evil in a sense. It's just poor timing, I would say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got a couple of nice little pieces to get into after that. So, All right, guys, we're going to switch over and bring on Facebook Live. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you're not actually going to see the Facebook Live integration just yet. What you will see, though, is you'll just hear us interacting with Facebook Live. Joshua's going to be jumping on as well, but it's not going to be on the YouTube video. And with Facebook Live, it's not actually going to see what YouTube has put out either. So, or our other platforms will be broadcasting from or dropping these videos on. So, fire that bad boy up now, and bear with us. We are merely we're merely amateurs in this process. We're still learning. Oh, yeah. So
beginning stage.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, we are on Facebook Live, and Joshua, when you get a second, go ahead and let me know whenever you see that notification pop up so we can get you in.
Okay, it popped up.
And we're merely amateurs in this process. We're still learning. So
looks like the stage. Yes, Facebook is a little bit ahead, a little bit behind.
Facebook Live, and Joshua, when you get we're gonna get an echo, buddy. We got to drop that off. Whenever you see that notification pop up, so we can. Okay.
Better.
I have a one of my babies barking in the background here.
The word in.
I'm sure you guys can hear that I do actually have a nice little bit of childlike fun going on here. So, and also he's a guest speaker today. His name is Devin. He's a guest speaker. He is a sweetheart. He's a youngin', so he's going through some training.
How old is he?
I'm sorry.
How old is he?
Oh, he's 2.
2. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good friend of mine. Unfortunately had to adopt him out because of his situation with his with some changes. So I'm happy to have him. He's such a sweet little boy. But my girl is a good girl, and she's 7. She knows me well, so she knows how to behave around the house. So he's just learning. That's all. So he's just joined in. He said hi to everybody. All right.
Facebook Live.
Welcome everyone that has joined on Facebook Live so far. I'm looking to get. I have one person I'm looking to get in here.
Did I connect, Chad?
Not yet on Facebook Live. I have 0 requests. Let's see here.
So I have to send you a request to join. Is that how it works?
Yeah, you're gonna want to jump on that video and then just try to once you come on there, I see you're watching it.
And also
We're getting that feedback again too. I don't know if you're using your phone also, correct?
No, just the actual laptop. Do I have
Okay.
to? Okay, right here, join.
Yeah.
This is my first time going Facebook Live, believe it or not.
Wow. I'll be
Do I have to
gentle-ish.
do? How do I do? Do I have to hit a button or something? I'm looking for something.
Yeah. Once you come on, I'll see you pop in there. It'll show
I
me
have
who's
it up
watching.
right now.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. But I need. Is there
I'm gonna wave at old Jay over here. You too,
is there a
Anna.
button that I need to hit, Chad? I'm having trouble getting into this thing.
You should see you. Let's see
I
my
can see you,
viewers.
but I can't see me.
Huh. Okay. See, look at this. We're all learning at the moment.
Oh, I know.
Hey, Crystal's joined in to watch. All right. I'm gonna wave at her too. How you doing? That's a long time friend there. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see. While I'm waiting for Joshua's notification to pop up on here, I am going
How do
to.
I do that, Chad?
This is
The
the joy.
notification.
All right, there we go. I got something here. So thanks for sticking with us as we kind of go through our growth. I don't know why it just gave you a last name. It just gave you a simple or a strange ass last name, by the way, buddy. I just sent the invite.
Childlike
fun going so you're going to be able to see what's going on, but I do want to make sure that if there's a way of muting the because you're not going to have to hear anything on Facebook Live, but if you can mute the Facebook Live portion.
Yeah, I muted it.
Okay, good. That drops.
Do I need to go?
Okay. All right, guys, girls, all you cool cats and kittens. We've already started recording for the main platform, but we're now joining in with the Facebook Live portion. As you guys have heard us say that probably at nauseum at this point. Thanks for sticking with us as we are still getting some of our toddler steps in as we're growing up in this process. Now, I've been doing this for some time, but I have not been doing a lot of the bringing people into Facebook Live. So I appreciate that. Also integrating the platforms into one. So there's going to be some more things that we're learning in the process here. So thank you for sticking with us. Now, I am joined with my host or my co-host here, which is Joshua McClendon. And Joshua, you can still speak through the regular microphone. The Facebook Live is muted, but not the other part, correct?
Yes. You can still hear me, right?
Awesome. All right, I can hear you.
Live. You can see me now. We're good. Technical issues have been fixed.
Yeah. It's you should be. I sent the invite, and
you just click on it.
You can see the video. You can see comments, things like that. That's all that we really wanted to make sure you can see.
Okay.
So, all right. So with that, guys, gals, cool cats, kittens, all that fun stuff. Today's episode of Waking the People, we're actually going to be going over some more current event things. And this portion that I'm going to be working on while we're doing Facebook Live is going to be it's memeing for truth. Most people right now in the modern surveys are telling us is that we're educated faster with memes, or people feel confidently educated with their memes. They see a headline, they like what they see, they think they know what's being said because of what the headline leads them to believe, or they will quote mine a bit as they go over some things to try to support their point, but they really aren't looking necessarily deep into it, which would be more kind of a concept of traditional journalism and or the scientific method, which is get your butt out there and research. And I've even fallen victim to this. It's an intellectually lazy approach to things. So we're going to be kind of tackling that, I'm taking it on, which is memeing for truth. You see something that looks good, you got to look into it to find out how true this thing actually is. So what I've got now, and more or less also, what does it spark? We don't just read something and think to ourselves, oh, okay, and then the thought dies out. No, usually if it's something that resonates with our current worldview or position, mental position, we're going to sit there and think about it and how it fits into what we already think and how it can expand what we think. And that's one of the benefits and challenges of memes. Oh, the one that I've posted that Joshua and I are discussing today on top of other things. And if you want to catch what else we're going to be discussing, I'll let you know what that's going to be in just a minute. This one in particular is a meme that I posted that is about, supposedly it's somebody that is located in the UK, and what they put out on this, this person's, it looks like, I think it's a Parler Echo. Yeah, it looks like it's a Parler Echo, which is, if you're not familiar with Parler, that's the tweet concept. It's a tweet. So I'm going to go over that. And if you want to follow after this, we're going to be discussing the TTIP, which is the Transatlantic Trade Investment Partnership, and its negative consequences once it's reenacted on the United States economy and other elements. So we're going to get into that, but that won't be on Facebook Live. I just want to do a little teaser for you there. But you'd have to follow us. You'd actually need to get to the video on YouTube, and we're also going to be on Rumble and a couple other platforms. So we'll discuss those later. All right. With that, I'm going to read this meme, and then Joshua and I, we're going to discuss a little bit about what it actually is, how it resonates for us, and what our thoughts are. So I'm going to be blanking out some of the things because I don't want to have our videos tech too hard for language unless we accidentally say it versus read it intentionally. All right. So this is someone located in the UK. Now it says, you know, the funny bit about you Yanks is, now Yanks is typically what people call you know, Americans, and before it used to be the Southerners and the Yankees. You know, it's my father used to say that all the time too, but it's not necessarily negative. All right. So that's my little 2 cents. I'm just screwing this all up, aren't I? All right. So, you know, your government is corrupt as F. Okay. Or as the kids say nowadays, AF. See how cool I am?
AF.
That's actually not what it says though. But all right. Yeah. You are all ready to go to war, or so you yap like you are. You're the only ones left in the world with a military grade firepower. You outnumber your military 1,000 to 1. You are the most powerful, free in quotes, and then bracketed, if it still even exists, people in the world. And yet the elite manage to keep you under control because you can't stop arguing with yourself about pointless shit. Oops, I mentioned that I was going to say, yeah. Oh, well. Okay. You really need, you really need you to get, we really need you to, I apologize. I'm learning to read now. We really need you to get it together, because you need to save us. Sincerely, the rest of the effing world. So what does that say to you whenever you're out there and you're memeing along, right? Because that's what a lot of people do on Facebook and or their social medias. They're looking for the next attractive person, or they're looking for the next attractive idea, how to kind of help them forget about their life at times. There's all kinds of stuff that we do this for. But what does that say to you, Joshua, that what this in person's trying to say to us?
I think it says to me 2 things. So the first thing is that people kind of need to understand the concept of neo-colonialism and how it works. So the U.S., colonialism was, an age that we went into where, a lot of Europe was, expanding their empires, their trade markets, and that still happens today. Like the U.S. plays a really big part in that. Just our outreach of, political or financial supplementation that we give the world, just the United Nations. So there's a lot of neo-colonialism that goes into the United States, and our impact, the things that we do here really do impact the rest of the world, which is you're kind of seeing, is if one financial, economic system fails, you're going to see a lot of other financial, systems fail across the globe. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. That first part, that's what it really says to me. The second part is that they may outnumber us, but they have tanks. So yeah. they have some really good firepower. And if you remember the Waco siege, we can have all we want, but there are other ways that we can kind of overthrow or change our political system that don't involve military action. And I feel like if people want to go down that route, I'm not necessarily one of those people. I would advise against it. There's a little bit better ways that we can do it. So just overall, just the broad impact that we, the United States, have on the rest of the world. And also that, we need to start maybe kind of straying away from this, revolutionary type deal in the military sense, but maybe revolutionary more on our, ideas, how we, follow the procedures that are in place, like elections and, just party research and, and lobbying. So there's other ways that we can kind of create this revolution in the sense that we want that don't involve military activity. What do you think, Chad?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We can, there's a point in time whenever obviously force is necessary. I don't in any way feel like we're there by any means. That would be a quick jump to conclusions, and that's not something that we stand for as a nation. We do want to try to get to all of our, intellectual options, and our ability to communicate with each other and create the best opportunities for the world. There's a reason why we're a beacon to the world. And this person's speaking about the beacon to the world through this message. It's just they're frustrated. I mean, if you're in the UK, you likely understand what's going on there. There's they've done gun bans. They've got all kinds of things that are going on there that are, lockdown measures and the rest of this. That we'll talk about the gun ban thing is, their citizens don't have the freedom like we do to actually own firearms. So what they do have is they say, okay, well, that's to help create, protect the people. Well, knife crime significantly is a significant problem there. There's people that get knifed all the time, roving bands of people with knives, and they're just going around and stabbing and cutting people. I mean, I'm not saying that every time you turn a corner and look, there's, Yank Boulevard, and then somebody gets, shibbed. I don't mean that, but it's a high crime issue there. And so it's not like it's actually saving people by saying you can't have guns, because it's not guns that cause problems or kill people. Sure, if somebody's irrational, they could pull a trigger faster than going over and stabbing somebody, but it doesn't mean that they won't still resort to going to stab somebody. It's, it's a real pain in the butt there, because if, you don't want to bring a knife to a tank fight, so no. they are talking about how do you level it out a bit. And in his conversations and his statements here is that, they've got they're looking at us going, well, hell, if the government wants something, they're just going to come and take it. And here we still have like this idea we can fall back on something. We can say, you know what, I'm not going to take this, and I'm not just going to lay down, and you're going to come over and do these things to me and do whatever the heck you want to. So there's a big part of what he's trying to bring up there is that they feel more defenseless than what we are. And then there's the frustration. They don't have the same type of, if you use like certain apps to search the websites or search the web, like DuckDuckGo is one that I support. And I found that it's actually does cut out some of the search engine optimization pieces that kind of filter or censor in a way. People say it's censorship. I'm not saying it's really censorship. It's search engine optimization, that whatever it is you're looking for, it's going to show you predominantly in the United States what's relevant to Google search engines. So it's going to pop that up. By using DuckDuckGo, it doesn't just use more of the local search engine optimization values. It's actually using a broader one. So you can actually get some of the stuff that's going on that's outside of the country to give you a better idea of what's going on with the world. They have different information being provided to them than we do in the United States to our basic televisions, our broadcast systems and our major news organizations. They have other things. If you look at what's going on, Australia publishes a lot of things that are really not a good light for the Biden family. There was one that they published that was talking about, that they are involved in, for reasons not to get our channel struck, I'm just going to say P issues, but that's actually just shortened up for something else. But it is a big issue that we've been tackling, and we've seen a lot of things addressed lately about, sting operations where they're going in and catching a lot of these people that are human trafficking. So Australia put something out about that in the Biden family. We haven't seen it. It's not showing up here. So when you use certain search engines, you're going to get different information. So when we look at it from the United States and say, what is this person talking about? Some of us are going to look at it and say, hey, I get it because I support the Second Amendment, or I see myself more as a conservative. I support freedom of speech. And then you see something like this, you're like, yeah, I get it. And then there's the other side, which is like, we need a little bit more gun control. We need a little less free speech because there's hate speech, and, let's bleed the lines on what hate speech is. And those individuals will look at this and be like, oh God, there's one more group of people that are supporting those radicals on the other side. Excuse me. So when I see this, I see somebody that, whether this really is from somebody in the UK or not, it does speak to a specific viewpoint. It's valuable. Um, we really do need to get ourselves together. We're one nation. We're not two political parties that just want to fight with each other all the time. We actually are one nation, and the political parties' jobs are to represent us as an individual as well as us as a whole. So with that, I see with this, the crying of somebody outside. I don't mean crying in a negative sense. It's a crying out, get your stuff together, man. We don't have the freedoms that you have. Come together and stop what's going on. I, in my entire life, have never heard somebody go, the government is fair, free, and not paid for or bought. Never heard that in my entire life. I'm 41 years old. So when this guy says the government is corrupt as F, he's speaking to a narrative I've always lived in. My father said the same thing. My mom doesn't get in politics, but my father would say the same thing. I've never heard somebody say that politics are fair. Now, should they be? That's the goal. That's the underlying idea of it all. But that's typically not the case, because too many people get into power with immaturities that can be leveraged against them over time, whether that's for power, for money, for just the opportunity to satisfy the fact that they mean something, they matter in life. There's all kinds of reasons why people are susceptible to being taken advantage of by somebody who can help get them to that next level, whatever that is. So that's where we start seeing these types of corruptions in individuals. Almost everybody that I've met at a local level getting into politics, nearly everybody, and I have had some involvement with this, have looked at it and said, I want to make a difference for people. But over time, their vote starts saying something different. But in the very beginning, that's not what they're saying. Some of them are saying that just to appease to get into office. Others are actually going in with the true idea that they are going to make a difference, and they're going in for that reason. And then 10 years later, or however long that they're in, say 4 years, or they're going into their second or third term, they start to just sound like everyone else. So that's why we'll see corruption. Go ahead.
It's funny how, conditioned we become to this corruption too. Like, UK is a great example, because like there's never been a case where, or at least in most cases, like some of the highest states with the most, the most guns, or the most individuals that possess firearms, are some of the safest states. So I don't really see the evidence that shows that gun control leads to necessarily less guns, because people are going to get guns. It's easier to get a gun illegally than it is legally. So that's almost like an oxymoron. If we're going to try to keep guns out of the hands of bad guys, making it harder or impossible to get legal guns is like, it defeats the purpose. And two, like you said, we're just so conditioned to being, just censored in so many different ways, whether it be with free speech. We've kind of adopted this cancel culture, this wayward movement of, if we don't like what you say, we're just going to remove you. And we've all like kind of started to stand up for that. I tell you, Chad, I've been waking up in the morning and I've been looking, going outside, checking, riding around. It feels like I'm in Salem, Massachusetts. Do we have like ergot all in our bread that we're buying at Walmart? And people are just going crazy. Like, it's just a wild goose chase of, what the media says or the government says, and we're just kind of allowing to dictate what we say and do and how we act towards our fellow Americans, our brothers, our sisters, our family. I'm sure there's been a lot of family problems that have stirred up because of all this political uprising, I guess, in a sense. It's amazing that we just kind of accepted it and said, oh, this is just how things are now. And that's naive on our part. That's something that leads to way worse down the road. If you get a chance, Jim Jordan, he's a Republican senator from Ohio. I sent Chad the video too. If you go listen, it should be on Fox's Instagram. Really good bit about kind of where we're at, not only as a society, but as a country going forward. It needs to change, man. It's like we're all on a witch hunt all day long, Yeah.
Well, this is so Jim Jordan, somebody definitely look into that individual. I actually think that he is a very well level-headed person, even though some people paint him as a radicalist. Now, do I know everything about his career? No, but from what I have seen of his, it does seem like he is a thinker, a level-headed thinker. But obviously, I'm open to having my mind changed. But in the meantime, check him out. Jordan Peterson is a psychologist that I often bring up just because I really appreciate his body of work. Now, this individual, he was a professor in Canada. He stood up against the Bill C-16, which was one that was putting specific language. It was categorizing specific language as hate crime that fell into pronouns. And that there was going to be a controlled method for using pronouns. That's Bill C-16. That was back in 2015, I believe. Now that's where he started to rise to fame. This person is absolutely just, if you really appreciate the depth of thinking, you will appreciate his body of work. Now, he brings up, one of his arguments is that the average person believes they would not be a Nazi, talking about Nazi Germany and its rise. The thing that people don't realize, one, if you read or study anything about Nazism and or Germany's rise into Nazism, you'll likely be looked at or called, you know, a racist or something, right? Because there's like this narrative, you can't touch that subject without actually being scarlet letter branded. No, you can't touch it. The issue is that from psychology and sociology, there's a lot of benefits to reading about what happened and how you get to that place. They did not start as soon as the very first time Adolf Hitler took the podium and started speaking and got people to start nodding their head and breaking their depression, because they were in a physical depression and they were in a psychological depression at that time. Hell, even my little man actually knows about this over there. Anyway, he's chiming in, man. He's got something to say. So what he talks about is how people got to the point where they were putting Jewish people in train cars, how they were going around and collecting, people and putting them into concentration camps. It didn't start there. That's the atrocities that came out of the behaviors that led up to it. He unified them. He unified them based off of, they had this depression, which is when they lost World War I, they were one of the people that contributed to some of the atrocities in World War I, and they were required to pay reparations to other countries that were affected by World War I. So that really sank their economy to the point that people were struggling. They were depressed from that. Adolf Hitler unified them. He used psychology and sociology to do so. The people that joined in the beginning found purpose to their life. They were starting to see something that was at least going to start unifying and pulling their country back up so they could at least get back to a standard of living that they weren't starving. They weren't going through the hardships that they were experiencing. There was a slope that they hit that caused them to get to those atrocities. They stayed in this conversation that created this psychosis towards Jewish people. It started off with the blaming those people because their economy was still holding together because they had an economy within an economy. What they didn't realize, as the German people versus the Jewish people at the time, or the Jewish Germans, what they didn't realize is that the Jewish Germans were actually living inside of an economy that they created with and doing business with each other. The larger economy in Germany was not in that same level where they were all working together in that way. So they looked at Jewish Germans and said to themselves, they blamed it, and they could find justification for blaming it because they weren't struggling as bad as some of the other people. It's not saying it's an entirety, but the majority. And that's how Hitler aligned those types of frustrations and started to get people towards being more sympathetic to Nazism, which it wasn't starting in Nazism. It later became that. So the reason why I bring all of that up is because of the slope to getting to become creating the atrocities that the German people or the Nazis actually did. Is there were people that were originally good people. They just needed to find purpose. And then they started to, this baseline of integrity started to slip. And before you know it, they're doing horrible and heinous things to people. They didn't start there. They got there.
Yeah, it's
what are you doing?
It kind of plays into one of the roles of government. Like one of the basic roles of government is that we, the people, knowingly give up certain freedoms or rights to allow other rights to be protected. So, in the comparison of Germany, these people, they were in depression. Remember, he won Time Magazine Man of the Year because they were, in such a bad spot, like Chad said, that they were willing to give up certain rights to, in a sense, gain rights that were more important, or to better themselves economically, just kind of get their country back on board. So it's almost like in times of vulnerability, especially at a political level, is when you have to be the most careful, because it's almost like a domino effect. One right goes away, and then you didn't really care about that right too much, so you don't really notice the next one, and then it just snowballs, and next thing you know, you're in this position to where you're too far to go back. And it's kind of on our doorstep, where we're seeing the moderate class of both Democrats and Republicans kind of separate and go into these, I guess in a sense, radical movements. And we're kind of become accustomed with wearing masks. Not to say that correlates, but just an example of now we're kind of used to big tech just monitoring whatever we want to say. Like if you don't like what you want to say, we'll just remove you. So we got to be careful. It's a slippery slope, and it's going to have to be more at an individual level to get people to start recognizing these changes and kind of think about, hey, is this really right? Like, is this what we want? Do we want to shun our friends or our colleagues or just people we know online about just because they have different political ideologies than us? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So slippery slope. We got to watch the dominoes fall.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's to also finish up the thought on what happened and how people became, like the Nazi categories, is just like Josh was saying here, it is a slippery slope and the dominoes do fall, but how they do it, it's like reporting on each other. And if you don't see it, you probably have. And if you haven't been paying attention, where people are reporting on each other. They're screaming at each other in supermarkets. It's not just about whether or not they're wearing masks, but it is like, you do see a lot of that right now, but you have other people that report, it's something as simple as, if your dog's barking and then your neighbor calls you, the animal control, instead of talk to you about it. Right. It's like, it's reporting to the state instead of actually communicating with each other. Creates a bigger divide. So as it is right now, we have reasons to be dividing each other. And that's a huge issue. We don't want to divide ourselves as a nation. We need to be able to continue having conversations so that we can understand each other better, versus letting our ideas or ideologies create separate classifications of human beings. We're all human beings, and we need to be able to share these ideas. Cancel culture is a echo chamber. It will take your job, and it will continue to perpetuate itself, because it manages how you speak. It manages how you behave. It will stop you from being able to fully express yourself. And they will teach you, if you've taken any courses in psychology, specifically clinical psychology, you'll know that if you can't suppress yourself, your anxiety increases. And the more your anxiety increases, the more likely you are to become more emotional over logical or rational. So if we want to be able to stay one nation, we really do need to be able to continue to have these conversations. So we're going to have to end the Facebook Live video. We've got to get to more stuff on the other side of this whole the channel.
And can I just add a little bit before we
go?
Yeah,
absolutely, please.
Yeah, and for those people who maybe are a little bit more left thinking, more democratic, don't think that cancel culture is just going to be for Republicans. If it takes hold, it'll come for all of us. Study the French Revolution. I think that's a very good, in a way, view of what cancel culture can turn into. You almost lose control of it, and no one really knows, the basis of which requires, hey, does this guy supported us before, but now he doesn't. Should we cancel him? So it's even more of a slippery slope. It's just bad news. It's something that we don't need in our society. So let's start working this out big time.
I agree. That is something that is absolutely worthwhile. If you don't know much about the French Revolution, please look into it. All right. One more thing. This is coming from one of my buddies, Chris. He did say that there's going to be a squirrel ban coming up. The reason why is that there was a woman that was arrested for stabbing her husband with a squirrel.
With a squirrel?
Yeah. Add a little bit of humor to the day. I'm sure that the squirrel was frozen. I believe I've read this article already before. This woman, there was a frozen squirrel. They're like country folk. And
yeah,
they got into a fight, and she just took the squirrel and stabbed him with it. I don't know.
Jeez.
So by all means, if we want the right to be able to, possess squirrels that are frozen squirrels, let's not stab each other with them too.
No more squirrels. Cancel squirrels.
Yeah. Oh God, don't let the cancel culture get a hold of our little tree rats. No, God, no. We need those little guys, man. What else are we going to do? Sit there and watch, like, eat up our bird feeders,
My rat terrier would be very upset. She wouldn't have anything to chase anymore.
Yeah, those little guys, man, they're they're bird feeder control, that keeps the population of bird feeders down. We need them. They're part of the ecosystem. All right, guys, gals, thank you for joining in with us on the Facebook Live version or portion of Waking the People. So looking forward to actually catching you guys again. We're likely going to start doing this on a weekly basis. We'll see. We will let you guys know ahead of time. But by all means, do like and subscribe. Follow us, myself and Joshua McClendon. You find us on Facebook and follow us. You'll catch a lot of these different posts. So, all right, thanks for tuning in. Now we're going to be going back over. We've got to talk about the TTIP, which is the Transatlantic Trade Investment Partnership, and the dangers of knocking off tariffs for goods coming into the country that are cheaper to make off of our country or out of our country, and the increase of our minimum wage and the threat of it becoming a federal minimum wage increase, and how we're going to likely price ourselves out of our own market, and the potential dangers of our economy can face in the very near future. So if you want to catch more of that conversation, find us on our YouTube channel. We'll send a link on Facebook. Subscribe, and you can catch those videos as well. Thanks for tuning in. Joshua, you want to say bye before we get off the line with Facebook Live?
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I know we're kind of in the infant stages of our podcast, and we're working out some technical difficulties, but going forward, I promise the quality is going to get better. The technology is going to get better. So looking forward to talking to you guys next week. Talk to someone you don't know, or someone, I guess that can be kind of dangerous. Talk to someone you do know who thinks differently than you do, and just have a conversation, have a discussion, and see if you can keep your emotions under control. And because remember, it starts at the individual level, guys. So challenge yourselves this week, do some research. Looking forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Same here. All right. Remember also, don't stab somebody with a squirrel.
No squirrels frozen. Not allowed. We're canceling frozen squirrels. That's for sure.
You get pat down. All right, guys, gals, cool cats and kittens. Check in with Facebook Live later. We're going back to our other portion of the show. See ya. All right, Josh. This is going to make a little bit of noise here in a second.
Okay. What do you think? Good?
Go. And that's going to be out for Facebook now. Okay. Now to continue, Devin's joining in. So he's got a few things to say. He's done some studies as well, and he's got his opinions. We are still on our Google video, or the YouTube video. So we just stopped the other portion, just to give you a heads up in case you may have thought that we may have stopped the regular video.
Okay.
All right. So I do want to get into, we've got two more topics. We're going to have to kind of power through them. But I want to make sure we touch on both of them. I also would like that Devin gives me a second, because he just loves to talk over me.
Okay.
I don't know how well you guys can hear that, but you probably can hear it pretty well. He's a sweet boy. He's going through some houseboarding. So anyway, all right, back to it. We need to get to the TTIP, and also our wonderfully accurate and unbelievably effective impeachment number 2, or impeachment squared for President Donald Trump. And how amazing that they actually did their investigations and they found him guilty of incitement of violence. We got to get to that one, because that one, I am so in love with the idea of it, at being completely sarcastic here, if you haven't picked it up for the people watching.
I love
we have that TTIP. So let's go with let's go with the impeachment one first.
Okay.
And then we'll get into the TTIP. So if you want to fire it off, because the impeachment one's that's your topic, and then mine's TTIP.
Okay. So we're in the process now of our second impeachment. People don't understand that impeachment's actually really expensive. I think the last one cost around $40 million, and it's not like they're the ones paying for it, we're the ones paying for it. So it's a very tedious, and I mean, he's got like 5 days left in office. I really see it kind of as a waste of time. And they're not just trying to get him out of the office. That's not really their concern. Also, just pretty much because there's so little time to do so, they're more interested in canceling everything that President Trump has done. And it looks like there's actually a few Republicans that are going to jump on there and do it. And that's kind of misleading. With the House, there were 10 Republicans that voted in favor of impeachment, but there's actually 197 of them that did not. So I think the media is kind of having fun with that and, using that as a way to kind of turn other Republicans on one another. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinion. So if a few Republicans think that they're for their impeachment, go for it. But I don't think that's really an accurate representation of what most of the Republicans think. Maybe some of them are ready to move on from Trump in a sense. I know probably Mitch McConnell is, but that's a whole nother different issue. I would like to get Mitch out of there, to be quite honest with you.
I'm with you on that.
But, the things that Trump is up to lose. Now, I didn't really know this. I had to do some research, but the presidential pension that you receive when you leave office is pretty freaking awesome. You get like $1 million a year that you can use for staffing purposes, office space. So you can use that for whatever you want. A lot of presidents end up either writing books or doing speeches. So anything you would need a staff for to organize. You also get $200,000 a year. And that just goes right into your pocket for just expenditures. You get travel expenses. You get health care, but you have to pay for it. A lot of people think it's free. You actually just have to sign up, but it's like really, really good, obviously. And also you get lifetime Secret Service detail for protection. Now, if he is impeached, he will lose all of them except for the lifetime Secret Service protection. So if they're, really what they're after is they're just trying to make sure that he can't run again. That's really what they want. And it'll be interesting. I don't think he's going to get impeached. So I think he's going to have that opportunity to run again. In 4 years, if you think this election was wild, in 4 years from now, it's going to be wild because we'll probably see a resurrection of kind of what Teddy Roosevelt did with the Bull and Moose Party. I don't think the Republicans will pick him up. So he'll kind of run as his own party, which that'll create a disaster in and of itself. So it'll be interesting to see how things, work out, Chad.
Yeah, no, I agree. As far as, so there are some things in that I had no idea about. I did not know about how much they actually received when they leave office. Although he's donated his salary this entire time, I don't think $1 million a year is going to do a whole lot for President Trump. The other is I wasn't aware they had to pay for their health insurance, but they do have the best health insurance on the planet.
Yes.
Now Congress made their own health insurance, and they, which is also something that I consider to be bullshit. That they can make their own health insurance, and we don't have access to it. That's aggravating to me that they can make such a stuff themselves that way. But we're talking about the president, not Congress. But as far as them actually impeaching him, the whole thing, it just screams the most crooked approach to things. We should be able to look at this and say, no matter what they say on the media, something happened. At what point in time do we start prosecuting somebody before we even investigate it? And that's what happened with this. The Congress tried to move to prosecute Donald Trump by impeaching him without actually looking at what happened. They didn't investigate it. If CNN is coming out, which CNN is the Lord of lies, right? Like that's the way I look at them. They're sensationalism news. That should be
cringe.
What's that?
The logo just makes me cringe when I look at it. Every time
absolutely.
I'm just like, ugh.
Anytime somebody cites CNN for where they get their news, I immediately am like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you like watching The Bachelor, I take it. Or Survivor or whatever else, because it's just drama. It's not news. It's like, just tune on Days of Our Lives or whatever the hell the soap operas are right now. Just tune that on and just live your life that way. Don't go that other route. Because that's what I get out of CNN. And I love that Nick Sandmann actually won his lawsuit against that corrupt news organization. Anyway, so it's jumping subjects. And I'm throwing a lot of stuff out there. Let's get back on track here, which is, they didn't investigate what happened at the Capitol. They did. CNN's come out, and actually, after I just spent all that time doing what I could to discredit them, I'm saying the absurdity of all of the stuff they put out. They actually came out and said that was they found evidence, and it's being reported that it was pre-planned, that other actors were involved, not Trump supporters, although Trump supporters were involved. Be fair, people follow people. They were banking on it. And they actually have this. The FBI has released this information that they actually have had, they're investigating it. So for CNN to jump in, but yet Congress won't. That to me, oh God, that's like, give me the list of those people. We need to make sure they get voted out. Then comes the second part, which is like you saying that Trump will run again in 2024. He won't make it.
Yeah. Not a
Absolutely. I'll vote for him. Absolutely. Well, I'll vote for who I feel the best candidate is. At this moment, I don't see a better candidate rising. Now, there's a couple of people that if they did throw their hat in the ring, I would be like, ooh, let's hear. Let me see where you're at. But let's say if it's Mitt Romney, absolutely not. That little hornless rhino, screw that guy, man. That guy's disgusting to me.
I voted for him. I wasted a vote on this guy. I was just like, one of my first votes I ever casted was for you, Mitt, and this is what you're going to do? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will not vote for that guy. He is absolutely, he is the British sympathizer during, when we were being attacked by Britain, right? During the declaration of our independence and our Revolutionary War. He is the British sympathizer. I just can't stand that man. But as far as, yeah, right. That face is perfect, Joshua. That's how I feel about him. But to think that Trump will actually get in, we have not done anything to purify this vote. We've done nothing. Every single case that would hear evidence for what happened during the voter issues in 2020, which we can't say. The other thing, which is also right there, what I talked about earlier and what we talked about with censorship and cancel culture, absolute garbage. There is a word we can't use right now.
Yeah,
we can't use it, or our video runs the risk of being taken down. We're not monetized. We just run the risk of losing the video on certain platforms if we use certain language, which is not cursing, nothing like that. So it's the F word is what everybody's referring to right now. So, but these voter issues that we have not rectified, and we see it's not a real blue wave, but this last election is the key elements that create controlling factors throughout our government. So all three houses, or all three branches, not houses, branches, all three of them are now blue. The average American understands that there were people that were damaging property throughout the United States that were rioting under the guise of peaceful protesting, that were being bailed out. These places were being attacked are also very blue. Again, for anybody watching, I'm not red either. I'm a non-party affiliate. I don't care. I see the side that's more rational and the one that's going to create the most sustainable future. And it's not blue. That's where I sit at the moment. Could I be proven wrong? At this moment, I doubt it, but I'm open to it. I've been paying attention to this all year. So the idea that Trump's going to be able to run again in 2024 under a different party or not, I have no faith that we would have a fair shot. None. Because we haven't rectified, we have not purified the issues that occurred in 2020. We see every branch is over, they're all under one party now. And states that have historically been, like Georgia's historically been red. But what happened is I saw the exact same thing happen for the Senate race as what I watched happen for the presidential race. Why would they change it anyway? Right, Joshua? Like, why the heck would they change something that they did already successfully?
It gets down to the bottom line. We got to start nationalizing our elections. Like, there shouldn't be different election dates for different states. It just opens the door for indiscrepancies to pop up. Like, going forward the next 4 years, we need to start, making our voices be heard about how we need to change our election system so that these things can't happen. And it's easy. I mean, everything in life you have to get through the government, whether it's your driver's license, car registration, all the certain things we have to do are, they're controlled and they're regulated, and there's rules and there's things you have to do to, in order to achieve that goal or receive that piece of paper or card that you're trying to do. So nationalizing elections would be something that could really impact, the questionable election results that we've had now, and it's only going to continue. So hopefully we can try to get on board with that. And it's common sense. I mean, why would you have every state doing different election, early voting, and then all of a sudden you have the same election day at the end? It makes no sense. Just do it all in one shot. Get it done. Set deadlines. Set signature verifications. It's simple. Like I can't just go and get a driver's license and not bring any information with me. And you need a voter registration card. You're supposed to present your ID. So just simple things that we kind of just threw under the rug and let these states kind of, undercut all those, legislative processes that you have to go through. And it's controllable. And people, it's funny how they're just like, they're okay with it. They're just, oh, no problem. They just ignore it and they say that it doesn't exist, but what's the word I'm looking for? You can't describe it. There's no rational explanation for why the certain discrepancies that took place across the United States and various states for the election. So
I got a rational reason.
What's that?
I got a real rational reason. And I think it's pretty evident at this point what happened. But yeah, I agree. It's the justification based off of what they used to justify it. I agree. That's not rational.
Yeah.
No, it's not. But I say the rational is that it was intended.
Absolutely.
So, but with that, you know what? We've got people getting arrested right now. Now, what will that do for the actual election itself? I think they ran out the clock on purpose. I think that if we could prove that there's something that was absolutely unjust and un-American that took place, then regardless of the timeline or statute of limitation in order to get that person into office, that's something that we should have an amendment for. Because if there is something where somebody intentionally manipulated and used the system in order to run out the clock, that should be something that is not setting us up in stone. So, but as far as the impeachment itself goes, back onto that subject, there was no due process that actually brought us to the level where we're like, damn, Trump, really? Why would you do such a thing? Right. Oh, and then, so as far as that goes, it makes it so it loses any value, right?
Yes.
The last impeachment that I'm aware of that I lived during was when Clinton was impeached because of his inappropriate behavior in the Oval Office, right? That was it. And I was a teenager then. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't really know much about it. I didn't really pay much attention to it. Didn't care that much because I was a teenager. I was up to other things, girls and fast cars.
I don't think anybody did. That's the good thing that's going to come from this is how woke politically that we're all going to be, because it's just been shoved down our throat for the last 4 years. So you weren't alone in that aspect, not paying attention,
Yep. I think it's more to create more division.
Yeah.
It actually seems to be more intentional. It seems like it's like, well, here's this major base, right? We have arguably up to 80 million voters, not total supporters, voters that support Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. They're poking the bear.
Absolutely.
There's a movement right now to get Trump rallies listed as domestic terrorist rallies or groupings. What is that going to do for half of America?
Yeah.
To have the other half say you're a terrorist organization, but yet they will not condemn the burning of buildings, the killing of people under this other guise that took place during the summer that had key players involved that I've mentioned many times that I am not supporter of, both the big A and the big B. And because I say I'm not a supporter of it, all of a sudden now I get branded the R, which is just absolutely it's clown world. And that's why I refer to it as clown world.
Clown world, I like that.
Absolutely. It's like Bozo is running the whole damn show. Bozo is actually Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer all at once. It's they get into the same suit. And I think Chuck Schumer's behind it carrying their cape. Not Chuck Schumer. I'm sorry. Mitch McConnell. I'm with you on that one too. Goodbye to him. I'm happy.
I saw the Washington Post, just to throw in there, just to kind of add on to what you're saying. I saw a Washington Post article. Now that I know that Amazon owns it, I'm going to go
Jeff
ahead and,
Bezos.
sometimes I'll read the articles just to see what language they're using and what they're trying to describe. But for example, there was a quote in there about Joe Biden that said he felt that race definitely played a role in how lenient they were on the Capitol as far as the protesters entering the Capitol. Like how is that going to, under what merit, under what evidence? When you used to throw around the R word, you used to be all have to prove it. Now it's just like you said, you're guilty until proven innocent. Someone can claim that you are a racist because you vote a certain way, and there's no ramifications. It sticks. It's that's people don't understand how dangerous that is. It's because it's already taken off like wildfire. So they're not pulling any punches. They're pedal to the metal with this stuff.
That is actually one of the tenets of communism. I'll take it back. I misspoke on this. It's not one of the tenets. It's one of the symptoms of communism, where all you have to do is say it and they're convicted. We already started that, though. Me Too was a big part of that. It's just like, say it. Kavanaugh, right? There was no proof. There was nothing. It was a testimony from somebody who got discredited because they couldn't prove it. Oh, and the witnesses that she claimed was there didn't actually support her story. So they have tried to ruin that man's career. How many other people have been ruined? Hell, even Neil deGrasse Tyson has been accused. And he lost some of his popularity. I believe he lost his show. I think they removed him from now, me saying I think is also like, why am I saying it if I'm not certain, right? So I probably should just go ahead and stop that part. But he also came out and he talked about the Capitol thing. And he said that it would have been a much different thing if it was, people of color that was going up to the Capitol, that it would have been a very different situation. And I'm like, you're a science man. You're somebody who likes history and science, and you're great at teaching it. Where the hell is your knowledge about 1964 when the Black Panthers took our Capitol? Like, where's that in this? There wasn't a bloodbath.
With guns, not just walked in. They had machine guns.
Yes.
Before.
It was an armed assault on the Capitol, and in 64, right? Yep. So anyway, as far as this whole thing with Congress and them speeding along, I think that that's actually a condemning motion for them, as every vote that they put on that was for the impeachment, every single one of those individuals, because they did not allow due process. If you're the witness of this video, you're sitting here watching it going, Chad, you get a little excited about stuff. You're damn right I do. You got a pulse. It's right there. And it's running, baby. But people just imagine that you're the person that's accused. Do you want to have a fair trial? Do you want to have evidence presented to at least prove your innocence if you're in fact innocent? But if you're jumping to the conclusion, this is the number one person in the United States. It's the president of the United States, and they did not give him due process. What do you think you stand for? Like, how do you think you'll stand against something like that? You become the person that they've got their attention on and see what happens to you. It should alarm you that they were able to do this at such a speed. That should be a nail in the coffin on their career, because they just showed they do not have the ability to separate their bias and actually get to justice. That's a lynch mob. It's a kangaroo court, right? It's absolutely just the most atrocious move that we could do. If he incited violence and we can prove it through due process, then yes, I wouldn't necessarily want to, but I would support the impeachment. Because the reason why I wouldn't want to is because I know it's on the other side and what's trying to come in and what that's going to do to us, because that's going to lead us into the TTIP, which Transatlantic Trade Investment Partnership. So I'll get to that in just a second. But Joshua, do you have anything else you want to throw in there for my excited position on the Congress impeaching Trump?
It's true. I bring it back to that first, the moment I knew that we were in trouble was during that first clown show of a presidential debate that we had, and we had Joe Biden on air, on live, say, "We all know you're a racist." Like, what? Yeah. If you're talking about calming, tempers down, or easing the divide, so to speak, then don't make accusations of racism on live TV. It's pretty simple. It's funny how only one side is being criticized for their quote cause of separation, and the other side just has open territory. Whatever you want, we'll accept whatever you want. Just make accusations, and we'll find ways to connect them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yep. But we are going to over scrutinize what you say because you're not on our side.
Exactly.
And we're going to condemn everything you do in every way we possibly can. Now,
Yep.
supposedly he was involved with Russia during the first of 2016 and all that crap. And then we actually know for a fact, we have it. We have evidence all through the yin yang, right? No, through the yin yang. It's the garbage bang that I bought too many of. Sorry, yeah, if Bang wants to sponsor us, I apologize for that, and I'll go back and just send me a better flavor.
Right, still waiting for Yingling. We need that Yingling.
Yeah, I'm all in for Yingling, baby. Yeah, hook me up. All right, so but as far as the issue here, we have people that are calling for unity. Like that's the whole thing. Like Biden's campaigns unify. We're bringing it back together. We're going to put America back together. In the same damn publication, he went from we're going to call for unity, and then he starts talking about freaking that the people that showed up in D.C. were terrorists and calling that we need to be well, not just him. There's other people involved, so I got to be careful because I want to stay completely intellectually honest here. There's other people that are on that party ticket that want to have re-education camps and or re-education requirements for people that voted for Trump. Tell me how that does not strike fear in somebody's life, because that scares the hell out of me. Oh, but we're here trying to band together and unify under the new presidency or the people supposedly coming into office. We're supposed to unify under it. I will not unify under a hammer and sickle. No. I am not a communist. I am an American. I'm a patriot. So there's no way in hell I'm going to unify under that. So if you want to talk about unity, you better prove to me that you're an American before you start saying that there's so many people that are going to be domestic terrorists just because they have a different view than you do. He didn't specifically say the guy that blew up the building, the AT&T building in Nashville. He didn't specifically say, the shaman guy that's running around inside of the Capitol, as if that guy represents all Trump supporters. He didn't say, as far as we actually do know now, by the way, they have charged one of the guys that entered he is a professed and recorded Antifa and BLM activist. I forgot his name. We'll get his name soon. We'll probably put it in the publication. So, and he's been arrested. Well, he's been charged. I think that they're in the process of arresting him, or he might be they may have already have him. So, and he was there, and he said that he was just there to just learn what the Trump supporters are doing and how to actually work with them under this BS of unity. But then there's videos of him telling people, yeah, break the window and go, go, go. By the way, we will end up mastering this whole putting videos on so we can watch it and then show it while we're watching it and react and talk about it. I promise you we'll get to that. Just blame it on the fact that I'm probably at this age lower on IQ than I was in my teens. Oh, but all right. With that being said, Joshua, I know that I kind of tangented and I got passionate about this, but our time is starting to dwindle a little bit. We can do impeachment part 2 if you want.
Okay. I'd like to add just a little side tangent. I just want to give some clarification so you can kind of better understand. Like, for example, let's say with the accusations of race playing a role in the storming of the Capitol. Think of it like this. So the police knew ahead of time, right? And they chose not to, either improve security or improve forces. And let's think about why. Here's what struck me. Because for the last year, all the media has been doing is attacking police officers and saying that they're not credited. They're not looking out for the best interests of the American people. So we've had police departments across the nation under a microscope for a long time. So it's almost like, in a sense, the media created their own perfect monster. They pulled back the power of law enforcement, really scrutinized them. There's police officers getting killed in these riots, just shot in cold blood. And then so later on, when it moves to the Capitol, then you're upset there's no police, enforcement. Like, why do you think there was no police enforcement? Because you were just,
Yeah.
it was open, open Sunday on every law enforcement across the United States saying that they're unjust. So why do you think they pulled back? It's,
Yeah.
you created it,
Yeah, and I'm going to add something to that too, because Joshua, thank you. You were absolutely a great. You're like a yin to my yang, right?
Thank you.
Because you really did. You brought up a point that I didn't want to miss. All right, what I'm going to say is going to sound a little crazy, because it is, right? He's going to sound it because of things, but I'm going to give you why I think this. I think that the Capitol situation was completely set up. The reason why I say that. Now, am I convicted of this? Am I going to die on this hill? Am I going to put myself up on that cross? Not yet, but damn close to it. I'm out gathering the nails and getting the cross put together, so I throw myself up there. But I'm not quite there yet. All right. We have the most important day in Congress. Absolute most important day of the Capitol. We're counting the electoral votes. We know that there's going to be a large crowd.
Millions.
Nobody RSVP'd to say, hey, we're going to be there. It's just they knew that the president had called to have people there to just show that he has supporters that would actually be the counter to what happened with the Supreme Court, with them saying that they don't want to take up the case because back when Bush v. Gore didn't have riots going on, which was a testimony from a witness. So outside of the room, to be fair, but still, that was what she had said. I believe it was she. So we have the most important day of the entire election taking place, other than the day of voting, right? This is where they're counting the Electoral College. And we have next to no reinforcements. I don't think there was any reinforcements for it.
It was like
Secret Service. I'm not sure if Secret Service was even there, but we have a significant population of people that are going to be in DC, that were in DC. There's basic police support. There's videos of police officers opening gates and then telling people, come, come, come. Like I said, we will eventually get to the point where I'm not so far behind that I'm not putting videos up to support this, but you can find it. They're all over the internet right now. So we have all of this going on. We have every member of Congress that can be there is there as they're counting these votes. And we have basic police supporting the Capitol building. It's not surrounded by National Guard. It's not, extra reinforcements, SWAT team support, nothing like that. They actually have published that they knew that there was going to be a lot of people and that they did not reinforce the police officers. They left it at basic detail or close there too, knowing there's going to be that many people. Oh, there's also CNN is in, I don't remember, I think it was Project Veritas, or they have some evidence of this. By the way, if you don't watch Project Veritas, please do. That guy is, you'll watch it, you'll think us. I guarantee you'll think us. So there's people going through the Capitol before it happened, checking the facility out. That's actually them talking about like the way the building's laid out and everything. So there's videos of that as well, which I promise we'll get to the point we have those out there. And I'm going to have to stop saying that because I'm getting bored saying it myself. So, all right. So as far as that goes, we have all of this going on. It's the most important day. And there's no real security. The security is not what it could have been by any means. They turned down options to bring in reinforcements. What does that say? It's, to me, I'm pretty convinced that that was set up. It was intentional. Now, who was the ones that led it? I don't know. I don't have that. I have suspicion, but I don't have anything to actually say it so that I can sit with conviction that that's who did it. But I'm pretty certain it wasn't Trump and his supporters. So
it opens the door if you think about it. I mean, if you don't allow reinforcements or more, more military backing at the Capitol, then the Democrats see that, not necessarily the Democrat caused it, whoever, possibly orchestrated it or decided to not add reinforcements, it kind of improves their agenda in a sense. So let's go hypothetical and think, let's say the Capitol doesn't get stormed. Congress actually gets to dispute the election results like they should have. then this kind of gives a little bit more, concrete, so to speak, as far as the accusations of, the election kind of being a little misled in a sense. And that would help, the Republicans, or it would help Trump. So they wouldn't want that to happen. Why? Why would that be in their best interest? So I'm looking forward to see when more information comes out and we can kind of get down to the bottom of who actually was, in charge of making the call as far as adding reinforcements. And now, we got what, 5, or it's on 2, is it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday, for the inauguration. Now we have like over 30,000 troops that are being deployed, to the Capitol in preparation for inauguration day. So now you want to send 30,000 like it's the Battle of Waterloo, but beforehand you were only sending, 20 or 30. I don't know the exact number, but nowhere near necessary as much as we needed. Think there was there was almost 1 million people there, and you guys are just gonna be like, oh, no problem, don't worry about it. Those little gates that we put up, they'll hold them. It doesn't make any sense. It's just logic.
Yeah, but it also does go to show you, though, if you look at it from this perspective, if there's going to be that many people and they really didn't reinforce any of the really putting a lot of security in place, then it also goes to show you, one side argues that just goes to show you how expected, how peaceful those rallies actually are expected to be. Now, and still, if you think about it also, if those people were prone to violence, the Capitol would be ash right now. If they were prone to violence, they're not. How many people went into the Capitol versus how many people were there? No, they didn't set fire to DC. DC was set fire in the summer. Was not done on the 6th of January, 2021. So, all right. We do need to get to this other subject, and we got to close up. So, anything else in closing for the Capitol situation?
No, I think we're good. I think we'll probably come back to this topic later on and kind of dive in a little bit more, because it's just, there's so many infinite different possibilities we could talk about. And so we'll definitely revisit this later on.
Absolutely. All right. So here's one that I want to cover. The TTIP. That stands for, and I mentioned it already, this is probably the 5th time I mentioned it in this video, it's the Transatlantic Trade Investment Partnership. What that does is it takes the tariffs off of goods coming into the country. It's with the EU, but the EU can work as a conduit for other countries. Like China will use the EU as a conduit to get goods in if they don't have direct access to us. So if you look into the TTIP, that actually Trump rejected the TTIP and put tariffs. No, he didn't reject the entirety of it. He put tariffs on specific key players in it. So he put tariffs on China that were equivalent enough to make the Chinese goods competitively priced against the United States products. Biden has already promised to re-enter and to get rid of the tariffs. So to re-enter into that agreement, knocking those tariffs off. So that means that these goods that are produced at a lower cost are going to be able to get back into the country. The only cost expenses after manufacturing is just the shipping. And it still is substantially less than our American-made products. And that's if we stayed at where we currently were with our manufacturing costs. Now, manufacturing costs are going to go up stateside because of some of the states, like Florida, for example. So I still haven't come across enough people to actually justify the vote, but still, whatever. That we're going to $15 an hour. Yeah, and 2026 supposed to be at $15 an hour. By September of 2021, we're going to be at $10 an hour at minimum wage. So, price of goods in the United States. What's that?
Key aspect, minimum wage. It doesn't mean that that's what you have to pursue. So just let's keep that in mind moving forward.
Yeah, that is the minimum amount of money that you can pay somebody for their work. Okay, so we have products and goods that are coming in. Once the TTIP is back to its original standing, which was enforced during the Obama administration. Once that comes back in, we're going to have an increase of our own goods. This is simple economics, by the way. Increased cost of our own goods by our cost of business, doing business overall. We have the cost of doing business as an individual, that we have our manpower costs. So that's going to go up. That means our price of business is going to go up. What it costs to actually produce our goods and or services, So it doesn't matter whether you produce a widget or if you produce a service for somebody, like you do something for somebody. Both of those are going to go up. Services can be done via, the internet. They can be done via, you can have somebody that's actually just here that works outside of the country, but, here as a contractor. There's a lot of different ways of being able to get those services available to people versus the American costs. Knock those costs off on tariffs, they become far more competitively, like they're actually not even competitively priced at that point. Their prices are significantly lower than American product, whether service or widget. So we have that. Then there's the expense or cost of doing business as a business. Insurance companies after 2020, they're going to find a lot of hardship moving forward. One, if you're a business owner and you want to get coverage on your business, the way the insurance companies work, unless it's mandated by the state or by the government, is they spread the cost of doing business in order to make sure that they still have a profit model and they don't go bankrupt. They spread the cost out to all policyholders. So we have businesses that have been burned to the ground, billions of dollars in claims that are being paid out. Those insurance companies will obviously have to pay out for the claims, but now when they get new people or renewals to those insurance policies come in, if you could even get insurance, is going to be increased. So cost of doing business is going to go up by the labor. Cost is going to go up based off of their insurance costs, just their basic business costs. Electricity is going to go up because why? Insurance companies, they have to insure electrical companies. They have to offset their costs. So every single aspect of running a business is going to increase.
Mm-hmm. And we know what that leads to.
Company, all utilities, you name it. All of it's going to go up because they need to pay their employees more if their employees are entry level. Also, the people that were making more than minimum wage, how many companies are actually going to adjust, right? It's going to be up to the company to adjust. But if once the minimum wage is at 15, let's say you're working as a skilled employee with certifications or a degree or something, and you're $17 an hour, minimum wage goes up to 15, you have a $2 an hour more than entry level, but you have degrees and you have all the rest of the stuff or your certifications or life experience that justifies a higher pay. Is the company going to pay you? This stuff we're uncertain about, but cost has still gone up. All costs about doing business. And then you have products that are coming in at a significantly lower rate.
Yep.
Where the middle class is going to completely dissolve under this. And the other incentive to reduce the likelihood that middle class is going to move up and to continue to build a good, successful business is you can't make more than $400,000 a year, or you get taxed over 40% based off the new Biden tax plan. So that means that, let's say Joshua Inc. has made $390,000 at September, and you have 30 employees. You're doing really well with your business. You're September, you cannot hit 400,000. You hit 400,000, you're going to lose almost 50% of your annual for that year because you hit a new tax bracket. But you also have all the business costs and expense that went into it prior to that you're paying your employees for. But as soon as you hit that, it's going to chew up whatever profit you make, and it could exceed your profit and cut back into your costs of business because you've just been punished. Yep. Right? That's the way that it's set up. So this is economic suicide. Now, the TTIP, minimum wage going up, insurance costs are going to go up. If we go to the federal level of minimum wage, every state in the country will have to at minimum pay that.
Yep.
So,
and people watching this thinking, oh, I don't own a business, this doesn't concern me. If the price of production goes up, if the cost of doing business goes up, guess what? The price goes up. And if imagine going, there's countries now where you can go and you pay like $50 for a gallon of milk. It's still, inflation's a real thing. And going back to that destruction of the middle class, that is the telltale sign for socialism. Socialism does not like the middle class because there's more, you have more of ability to move up. Like in the United States, we have one of the fastest or the most efficient way to improve your economic status. So let's say you're you're low class. It's much easier in the United States to go from low class to, let's say, middle class to even high class one day. For example, Bill Gates, right? He was a college dropout, was able to kind of start Microsoft. Not that I like Bill Gates, but just a good example of the lucrativeness we have in our society to improve our economic status. And but the elimination of the middle class, you can kiss that goodbye. It'll be almost like feudalism. It'll be the haves and the haves nots, and there won't be much lucrative for change going forward.
Absolutely. For me, socialism is just the nice idea of communism.
Yeah.
So it's the utopic concept of communism. So I see both of them sitting and laying in the same damn bed. So, but what I do see, if you look at this from that perspective, I'm not a doomsayer. I'm looking at policy here. I'm not talking about, oh, this is just a fear. No, it's policy. That's where this information is coming from. So if you want to get rid of capitalism, and capitalism is this evil, horrible thing, and people aren't open to accepting it on an individual level, then you take it out through your policies. And the way that they're doing it is everything I just talked about is how you take it out through policy. So if government, by the way, socialism, communism are big government. It's big government, big daddy. They take care of everything for you.
Yep.
But if you don't like to have nice things, you don't wait for the government to give you nice things. The government gave you nice things. Everybody on welfare would be living in mansions, right? True. They don't give you nice things. They just give you what's the base level for you to survive. Right? Anybody that's on welfare that's actually going to tell me otherwise, please do. By all means, put it in the comment section. Now, this is not people that aren't on welfare that decide to talk about people on welfare. I mean, for people that are on welfare, if you're getting every single thing you possibly could ever want on that, because that is the representation of what socialism, communism would become in the United States, would be exactly that thing. So everything about this is how you kill capitalism. Everything about it. It's you outprice your own products. And this is our government doing it to us. You outprice your own government, or you outprice your own goods. You make the cost of business so high that you demoralize and you disincentivize anybody who's going to try to go out. Like Joshua Inc.'s going to go out. He's going to hire people. Let's say, again, back to that earlier analogy or that earlier example. Joshua's in September. He's got a $390,000 is what he's made that year so far. At September, he's got 4 months left to the year, right? 3 months left. Oh, God damn, I can't even do math today. I got 3 months left to the year, right? See, I told you guys I'm not that smart. So you got 3 months left to the year. He's made that much money up till September. You have to stop doing business, shut it down for the rest of the year, or run the real risk of hitting 400,000. Because as soon as you hit 400,000, you're going to lose almost 50% of that annual income, or for that year, the profit off that year. Well, not the profit, the total cost of business for that year. Now you got all the business expenses, and you got to go take a loan out just to pay your client or your employees because you've made too much money. So you have to go take a loan out because you made too much money. That is a very real possibility. So do you want to stop your business at September and lay your people off for the rest of the year, or run the risk of losing more money because you did a good job? You know, it's one way also to keep Joshua from growing his business.
Yep. It's almost that glass ceiling concept, right? Or don't make too much. We don't want you to do too well. Like it just goes against everything that America was built on. You know, I'm a big believer in the invisible hand theory. Are you familiar with the invisible hand theory?
No.
Adam Smith. Okay, so basically the premise of it is that if individuals better themselves or improve themselves, they will ultimately end up bettering society. I mean, it's one of the most proven, systems of just improving, not just economics, but just if you improve yourself, you're going to improve the people around you. And if those people improve, then they're going to improve the people around them. And they're trying to destroy that theory completely, right? They're trying to just erase it. They don't want anybody to be better than, you can do well, but if you do too well, we're going to punish you for it. What kind of mindset is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just thinking about so I wasn't aware of that, that concept. I was aware of the concept, not the statement. No.
Adam Smith, awesome. Father of modern day economics. If you guys like economics, study Adam Smith. He is just, there's not everything I agree with, but economically, just amazing.
Yeah, I like it. Good. I appreciate the reference too, because that's something that I'll actually look into myself. But if we want to kill off the economy overall, this is how you do it. This is how you ensure that government will grow bigger, because they're going to have to put more regulations in. And then there's going to be more people that need support. And that's how you get people that don't want communism, socialism to take it. You demoralize them, you reduce their abilities, you get them hungry, you get them needing, and then they start, okay, well, you know what? here you go. We'll take care of it. Here's some money for you. That's how you get to that point. That's what I see happening. Now, am I a conspiracy theorist? No. Is it a conspiracy in my opinion? Yes. But I'm not a theorist. Conspiracy is just conspiring against something or someone. And I can see this as it may be led by self-interests, which is we're just going to give you some money. There's a reason why China is a hard player in the world economics, is because we've been sending them so much money, but they're a communist regime. They're not paying their employees anything. Their basic wages are not giving those people great lives that are on the manufacturing end, which are the people that are not skilled beyond just the labor abilities. So predominantly, they're not also they're not supported to move up in class there. They're actually supported to stay lower in class. So with that, you have these people that are going to be manufacturing things at such a low cost. We're not going to keep up with that. The tariffs were there to help us keep up with it so that the individuals weren't able to buy themselves into socialism based off of that the item's going to be cheaper than the American made product. So if we want to keep our people in business, if we want to keep our, the American people working, we need to buy American. So with that, it doesn't mean buy 100% American, but if that's what you want to support, by all means. But it does mean make sure that you're spending money locally to keep these people working versus these large conglomerations. Like, Amazon is a very, very large business that's doing business all over the world. Now, there are so many issues about the way that things are set up. Amazon they're not running any risk of failing at this point. It's everybody that works for them. All they're doing is they're predominantly the middleman, but they've mastered the game of middleman. They're going to stick around. They'll just bring products out from outside of the country and continue to grow their wealth as we continue to spend our way into a lower, economic standing. The TTIP, TTIP, if you're not familiar with it, look into it. They try to spin it off in a good way. The way I suggest that people look at things is whenever somebody offers you the pleasant ideas about it, look to what you have to give up in order to have that. All right, that's my rant for that. Kind of really grinds my gears.
I think I'm really, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned a term called neo-colonialism, and there's two that are big players right now. It's the United States and it's China. Remember, so neo-colonialism is when you occupy different territories, not by means of physically, but economically. And I feel like a lot of these big players in economics, such as Amazon or Silicon Valley in general, are starting to decide, okay, there's two sides we can be on here. We can either help improve the Chinese agenda and then, improve their neo-colonialism on the United States and the rest of the world, or we can choose the United States. So it's almost like they're betting against themselves in a sense to be on the winning side. So it's to them, it doesn't matter. They just want to make money. They don't care about, the American people, the average Joe, who can't get a job in his local, town or community because all the small businesses are shut down. So he's supposed to go to like a Walmart or a big box chain, company. So it's a battle of, and I don't even say, you said earlier, it's not really a conspiracy theory, or it is. I would have to say you're correct. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just basic economics. It's basic understanding of, when you have an influx of imports and a decrease in exports, you're going to go into a deficit. And that's where we've been for a long time. And that was part of the motive for Trump to kind of remove those or put those tariffs on to try to flip us into a surplus. Because remember, surplus and deficit, if you ever hear that on TV, all it means is the import-export ratio. So when your exports are above your imports, you're in a surplus. And when your imports are above your exports, you're in a deficit. And we've been in a deficit for a long time. And it's kind of the other side of economics. So just basic economics that we have to start learning and understanding, and how to spend our dollar in certain areas.
Absolutely. And it's within the last 4 years, the American economy has absolutely soared. We have, because of those tariffs and because of the decision making that has taken place from our elected president, has helped us solidify our job market and to help us regardless, even with COVID, we're still moving our economy in a positive direction. And that's with having some of these major metropolitan areas, these cities locked down and reducing their business. The rest of the country is still producing in such a way that we're still growing our economy. We're moving back to the positive. COVID hit us. Prior to COVID, we were killing it. It's because we put America first in its place. It's America first, not to the world. It's America first to us. Take care of our house, make our bed, make sure that we get our house in order before we start trying to correct the world, which is also like pull the military back so that we stop having so many world affairs and focus on making sure America's good before we go off and try to tell other people how they need to run their country. And that's what Trump was doing. And I think he did a great job at it. Am I going to catch slack for this and heat and some shade? Probably. I don't care. I'm looking at policy. Guys, as I mentioned earlier, I'm NPA. That means non-party affiliate. Now, I was not politically active at all up until 2000, and it was January 2018, that I woke up. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? I do need to focus outside of my own businesses, my own situation. I need to look outside of that because other things are going to influence how I'm able to live in this country. So there's a lot more to talk about with this. This is not that what we've had to say in this video is absolute truth all the way up to everything that we think about it. There's other corridors of the way that we think about this that we have value in and the details that are going to support understanding us better versus going, I've watched the news and this is all the crazy stuff. And these people are just more of those radical idiots. If that's the way you want to think, you're shutting down the opportunity to explore these thoughts. I encourage people to join us in these conversations. Come to the table. If you disagree, let's talk about the disagreement. If you come into my house and you start telling me I'm an absolute idiot, I'm not likely going to want to talk to you other than tell you to leave. So there is a cordialness to discourse that helps us show that we're intellectually capable of speaking. And that's something that Joshua and I are really good at, especially with each other, but also people in our lives, that we can talk about things that we may disagree with and not immediately jump to, you're stupid, you're an idiot. I don't argue like a 4-year-old. So with that, come join us in these conversations. Put comments in the comment section. Let's get to this place where we can actually say, you know what? I know something you don't know, and I want to share that with you, versus I know something you don't know and you're an idiot because you don't know what I know. That's where we've got to in this country, and that's all intended for division. Cancel culture, big part of it. Now, this equality, equity movement, it's actually equity, not equality. The equity movement also has elements about that actually make people immediately wrong before they even open their mouth. So that's something to watch out for. I don't want to make somebody wrong before they open their mouth. I want to hear what they have to say.
It takes practice. It takes the desire to, I guess going to like a personal level, you got to make sure that the group you hang around with is pretty diversified. Like if you're around the same group of people all the time and everyone thinks the exact same way, it kind of gets boring, in a sense. Mm-hmm. So it just takes a commitment to, okay, maybe I'm going to, engage in this conversation with some, questionable or uncomfortable topics, and how can I control myself? Because remember, there's only 3 things in this world you can control. You can control your behavior, you can control your visualization, and you can control your thoughts. So if you go into an event, right, and you want a certain outcome, which is kind of equal ground or sharing ideas, make sure your response, equals or is a representative of what outcome you want to achieve. If you want to achieve, some middle ground, some understanding of another person, emotion is not a great response. It's not going to get the desired outcome you want. So practice makes perfect. Just gotta start having those conversations, like you said.
I agree, and great point to the things that you can control. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, gals, cool cats and kittens, and all you wonderful patriots out there. We got to close it up. We've been on for a bit longer, and both Joshua and I have got a lot of stuff we got to get to today. So I personally appreciate everybody who is able to go through the entire video. But if you've only caught segments as well, that's perfectly fine. Anything that opens up perspectives, share in the comment section, share the video with people in your life that you know that actually can benefit from it, and or open the conversation that you too would want to have if you want to use us as a way of opening that conversation. We're completely good with that. Until next time, I am your wonderful host, Sir Chad Everett Broshears, and I am joined with my wonderful host.
I think I'm getting close to a name here, Chad. I think I have a breakthrough. So I thought patriot, right? Because, you know, we all, you know, have a little bit of patriotism. We're patriots, but I'm not really just a patriot. I'm your fellow patriot. I just want to let you know that you're not alone in this. If you're, you know, kind of having some confusion about what's going on politically that we talk about a lot, know that you're not alone. It's not bad that you have different ideas. Again, I end every video with saying, don't think what I think what you think, but know why you think what you think. And that's just, it was a great episode. Thank you for enduring the bumps in the road that we're having right now with our technical stuff, but each video is getting better and better. Don't forget to subscribe. Hopefully maybe Facebook won't be, you know, so communistic, I guess you could say, moving forward, and will allow, you know, open pathways for us to share more videos and maybe create some Facebook groups. So thank you guys. Subscribe, comment. If you got anything you want us to talk about, shoot it in the comments, or if you got any just, you know, things that you disagreed with, the things you agreed with, again, shoot them in the comments. The more interaction we get from you guys, the more our videos are going to get views, and that's super important. So please let us hear your opinions. Don't be afraid of what other people think. Don't be afraid of being criticized. This is an open market. You can completely disagree with me, and I'm not going to look down upon you. So thank you guys. It was a great time today.
Yeah, same thing. All right. Till next time, we're all in this together, baby. Let's do this. Enjoy.